Hey everybody, how's it going? Matthew Kadish here, author of the Earthman Jack Space Saga, available over on Amazon.com, so if you want to help support this channel, go and check it out, see if it's something you'd like to read. Anyway, today I'm not going to be talking about reading, I'm going to be talking about movies, and in particular, a certain type of movie. And basically, we're going to be talking about action movies. And when I was coming up through film school, way back when dinosaurs roamed the earth, one of my all-time favorite directors, action directors, was a gentleman by the name of John Woo. And John Woo was kind of the superstar of Hong Kong action cinema. And he was a guy who kind of basically made action beautiful. He used slow motion to great effect. He used kind of like exaggerated movements. His action scenes, his gunplay, it was almost like watching a ballet on screen with like actors, and their movements. And it took action to a whole nother level. And this was before The Matrix kind of came out and kind of popularized this version of action in America and things along those lines. And so when I was in film school, I was watching every John Woo movie I could find. My all-time favorite is Hard Boiled, starring Chow Yun-fat, and he plays like a hard-boiled Hong Kong detective. Then, of course, there's The Killer, which is another classic from John Woo. And, the list goes on and on. But if you guys haven't watched any of John Woo's Hong Kong action films, I would highly recommend you check them out. They still hold up today. They're still beautiful. And they're done without CGI, which is even cooler because it's all practical. It's all people actually holding guns, running around, shooting at each other, doing all this crazy stuff. There's no digital trickery or anything like that in these movies. It was all old school, in your face, shot on film cinema. And so John Woo was one of the biggest directors in Hong Kong in the early 90s. And that, of course, kind of got him the attention of Hollywood, especially after The Matrix came out. And so they kind of wooed him over, no pun intended, to Hollywood in order to get him to direct some more mainstream American movies using his particular style of action cinema. And it had, mixed success. Like John Woo made a handful of movies out here in America using, big American stars. And they were all eager to work with him and stuff like that. But his movies kind of failed to really kind of catch hold here in the United States, in contrast to, Hong Kong. But one of the movies that did break out that he made was an action film called Face Off. And it starred Nicolas Cage and John Travolta. And Nicolas Cage was kind of like an up-and-coming action star at the time. I think he'd already done Con Air, and that had kind of launched him into the $20 million plus leading man category. John Travolta was still riding off of the Pulp Fiction wave, and so his star was pretty big. So these two actors were kind of at the height of their career when they worked with John Woo and made Face Off. And it was basically like it was originally supposed to be a science fiction movie, but when John Woo came on, I think he kind of scaled it back to a little bit more of a contemporary film with kind of science fiction elements to it. But it's basically about a cop and a criminal who are arch nemesis with each other. And in order to stop a terrorist attack, the cop has to have his face switched with the criminal so that he can go undercover as this criminal to stop this attack from occurring. And the reason that he has to do it is because he's the only one who knows the criminal well enough to realistically pass himself off as him. And it was kind of like it's a dumb premise, but the execution of it's kind of cool because you have these two really kind of wonderful actors, John Travolta and Nicolas Cage, and they get to play two different characters throughout the course of the movie. They each get to play the cop and they each get to play the robber. And the level of hamming it up in this movie is next level. Like Nicolas Cage gets to go to his way over the top extreme, and then he gets to come back down to his more dramatic, serious self. John Travolta gets to ham it up to the extreme, and he gets to, do his serious stuff. It really is a treat to watch just based off of their crazy performances alone. But in addition to that, it also has a lot of the fantastic action that John Woo is known for. It's got like the doves flying in slow motion. It's got the slow motion gunfights. It's got the ballet-like, gunfights and explosions and stuff like that. So it's kind of a cult favorite of mine. John Woo, he made a lot of kind of cheesy action movies, Mission Impossible 3 being one of them. And this one is definitely cheesy, but there's something so kind of pure about it. I think out of all the American movies that John Woo made, this is the most John Woo-ish movie, the movie Face Off. And probably a lot of the younger generation out there, the millennials and stuff like that, they've probably never seen this movie. And if they have, they caught it late at night on HBO or something like that. And it really is kind of a cool film. Now, word has come out that, like all kind of cool films, that this one is getting a remake. And I want to take you to this article over here on Yahoo Entertainment, which is a garbage website, but this is the only place I could really find that spelled this out in a succinct way. So basically, Paramount to reboot the John Woo 90s action hit Face Off. And this is an article by Jeremy Fuster, and it's basically republished from The Wrap because Yahoo is a garbage website. Paramount is developing a reboot of John Woo's 1997 action hit Face Off, which starred John Travolta and Nicolas Cage in a cat-and-mouse thriller that sees the two actors exchange roles. Oren Uziel is attached to write the script for the reboot, with Neil Moritz producing. The pair previously worked together in the same roles on 22 Jump Street and Paramount's upcoming Sonic the Hedgehog adaptation, which hits theaters in February. Now, that's kind of a mixed bag there, because the Sonic the Hedgehog movie looks like complete garbage. I'm going to have to wait until I see it a long time from now on home video. I don't think I want to see it in the theaters. I will say that 22 Jump Street was fantastic. It was a very funny movie, very well made. So like I said, mixed bag. We'll see how Sonic the Hedgehog turns out. But it is kind of odd that these guys who are kind of known for their comedies are moving into the action genre. Face Off starred Travolta as Sean Archer, a federal agent bent on revenge after terrorist Castor Troy, played by Cage, who killed his son. After another incident puts Troy in a coma, Archer agrees to a bizarre plan that involves using experimental surgery to give him Troy's body, face, and voice, and then going to a maximum security prison to convince Troy's partner to reveal the location of the bomb. But while Archer is in prison, Troy breaks out of his coma and forces the surgeons to give him Archer's face, effectively leading the two men to switch places. Archer must now break out of prison and expose what Troy has done as Troy takes over Archer's personal and professional life. Released to strong reviews, Face Off was a success at the box office with $245 million grossed worldwide, or approximately $391 million in 2019 dollars. David Permut, who produced the original film, will return for the reboot as an executive producer. In addition to Face Off, Uziel is currently attached to two in-development Warner Brothers blockbusters, a film adaptation of DC's Supergirl, and the sequel to Pokemon Detective Pikachu. The thing that gets me about this is that John Woo has nothing to do with it. And he was the guy who made the original Face Off what it was. That was the John Woo sensibility that made the first Face Off so cool, basically, and plus the over-the-top performances of the two lead actors kind of helped with that. So I'm not sure what audience they're going for with a reboot of Face Off. Might have made more sense to make it a sequel as opposed to a reboot. I can't think of anyone that they could get for the two different roles that could possibly top or even come close to Nicolas Cage or John Travolta's performance. And I can't really think of a director who would kind of do justice to John Woo. So this is kind of an odd thing. But Paramount is a studio. It's kind of desperate for some hits right now, so it makes sense that they're going kind of back to their vault and looking for anything that was successful to kind of try to reboot and possibly launch into a new franchise. I'm not quite sure how you'd make Face Off a franchise, because you'd have to kind of switch faces every movie. I mean, who knows? Stranger things have happened. But I don't know about this. I'm not too excited about it, probably because I'm more of a fan of the original, and because I am kind of a diehard John Woo fan as well. This guy, Oren Uziel, who's going to be writing the script for it, he's also doing Supergirl and Pokemon Detective Pikachu 2. He doesn't seem to be getting attached to, the most high profile or prestigious projects. So we'll have to see how this turns out. I don't have a lot of confidence, especially considering that his most recent movie appears to be Sonic the Hedgehog. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it goes, and give him the benefit of the doubt. Paramount's going to do what Paramount does, but now that Paramount is kind of remerged with CBS and they've got all their ducks in one basket once more, it could be that they start making quality content again. I mean, anything's possible at this stage. But what do you guys think about this? Were you a fan of the original Face Off? Are you excited for a reboot? Let me know in the comments. Your feedback always helps out with these videos. And as always, for more movie, TV, and entertainment news and analysis, please subscribe to my channel. This is Matthew Kadish. I'll catch you guys next time.